Oh, you thought I was done with the budget builds? Well, guess again. I am back with another BBB. This time we're doing a gorgeous white-themed micro ATX system that's able to play most AAA titles in high settings over 165 FPS, and it's only gonna cost you 800 buckaroos. Ever feel like you're being watched? In the digital world, you never know who's lurking. That's where NordVPN steps in. All it takes is one click to start browsing without any worries. Your online data and activities are secured, and you're basically transporting from one location to another. Well, virtually. By connecting to, let's say, Italy, I am not only safe from hackers, but I can also enjoy shows like Rick and Morty and all other content that isn't available to me in the US. Not only that, airline ticket prices can vary depending on the location. Thanks to NordVPN, you won't face price discrimination, and you'll actually land the best deals, saving you some cash. For a limited time, you can get a 2-year plan at an insane discount, plus get 4 extra months for free. Just visit nordvpn.com/nordsource or click the link down below. With their 30-day money-back guarantee, NordVPN is totally risk-free. I'll let you be the judge. Oh, and if you think you can use NordVPN to sneak back onto my Discord server, think again. We'll catch you anyways. So this PC is running Windows 11 Pro, and some of you guys have made it clear in the past budget builds to not include the price of the CD key because some of you guys get it for free. I'm not here to judge on how you guys get the keys for free, so I'm gonna leave it off of the price list. But for those of you who are looking to buy one legitimately, don't pay full price because you can get it for dirt cheap from yourcdkey.com. They sell Windows 11 Pro keys for around $22 after using the code TS20. But if you guys want your system to run Windows 10 Pro, you can get that too for $16 instead. After putting in your email address and checking out, they will email you instructions on how to retrieve the key. Then all you have to do is go into the activation settings and put it in. Total cost of this entire PC without the Windows key is a little under $800. To kick off the build, I went with the Ryzen 5 7600 6-core 12-thread processor simply because I just wanted to stay on the latest platform. I did not want to downgrade to DDR4 and leave performance on the table. The 7600 does noticeably better than the 12600K, and even the 8-core Ryzen 7 5800X in gaming. It's also neck and neck with the Core i5 13600K, except this costs almost $100 less and has a much lower system power consumption. We simply don't have enough budget left over to buy an aftermarket cooler, which isn't really needed anyways because the stock cooler is more than capable to keep the temps down. However, if you do want to spend a few extra bucks and buy one, I will drop a link to a few different ones I recommend based on your budget and the style that you are looking for. For the motherboard, there is no question we had to get the cheapest board available in order to stay under the $800 budget. There is absolutely no negotiating here. The Gigabyte A620M S2H is the bottom of the barrel, and it's the only reason we are able to get impressive gaming performance at just $800, which you will see in the gaming benchmarks. Now, the Gigabyte and the MSI 620 boards are both $75, but I went with the Gigabyte model because it actually includes a 5-volt RGB header on the board, which is what we need to plug the RGB fans from our case. While this might not have any VRM heatsinks, no support for overclocking or built-in Wi-Fi, it's simply enough to run the system perfectly fine. And sadly, that's all we can ask for in this budget. But if you're looking to future-proof this build and you don't mind spending a little bit extra, then the next step up would be a B650 board. I recommend going with either the Gigabyte or MSI. This will give you 2 more memory slots, better VRM coverage, overclocking support, which means you can enable PBO in the BIOS for additional performance on Ryzen 7000 series CPUs, and more connectivity. I like my memory the way I like my women, naked. Actually, I lied. I do prefer heat spreaders, but unfortunately we had to go with naked sticks because that is all we can afford. So this is a 16 gigabyte kit from Team Group running at 5200 megahertz, and they are going for only $45. If you're going with DDR5, always try and get something faster than 4800 megahertz because higher frequencies will give you more frames. With that said, timing is equally as important too. The lower this number is, the better. I wouldn't go for anything higher than CL42 for DDR5 memory. Also, these sticks are able to overclock themselves to 5400 megahertz. After powering on your PC, go into the BIOS and make sure to enable the option that says DDR5 Auto Booster. After that, hit F10 to save the settings and it will restart the PC back to your desktop. If you go into your task manager, you can actually see the memory is now running 200 megahertz faster, which is nice. For storage, we can easily fit in a 1TB M.2 SSD. Now, although prices do seem to have increased on these drives slightly, I was still able to find one for around $55. Although this is a Gen 3 SSD, so do keep that in mind. If you want faster speeds and are willing to spend a little more, I would recommend picking up the Solidigm P41 instead. This will get you Gen 4 speeds for $15 more. This leads us to the graphics card. I was able to fit in an RTX 3070 in this budget because I decided to go used instead of brand new, saving me over $100. Most RTX 3070 cards start at $400 minimum and they go up from there. But if you're patient and you look into the second-hand market, you can find a used 3070 for $300 or less. In my case, I was able to find a 3070 Founders Edition for $300 on OfferUp that was posted one day before, but you can also look up eBay and easily find 3070s around the same price, if not less. But of course, this is optional, you guys. You don't have to take the aftermarket route if you don't want to. You can always buy brand new if you want that peace of mind. However, do keep in mind that for $300, you can only afford an RTX 4060 or an RX 7600, both of which are significantly slower than the RTX 3070 if you look at a 12-game average. You can see just how high the RTX 3070 scored above the other GPUs, making this hands down the best value card in a sub 1000 PC build. Power consumption is definitely on the lower end thanks to both the CPU and the GPU. Thankfully, we don't need much to run the system. In fact, all we need is 400 watts of power. But I did go with a 700 watt just because it's more affordable. I've used this exact same power supply in a few other white builds, and I'm using it again because it's not only reliable, but it's also semi-modular. And it's white, which will match the color scheme of the build perfectly. However, if you're skeptical about the power supply, which is completely normal, especially if you're new stumbling across this channel, you have no clue who I am, I will drop a link to a few better power supply options down below, which do cost a bit more, so do keep that in mind. If you're doing a white build, the Red Dragon is an awesome pick because it's fully modular and it's 80+ gold certified with an RGB fan. But if you're doing a black build, I would go with the Segotep 650 watt instead. Now this is not modular, but on the upside, it's 80+ gold certified. Both very solid picks that won't put a hole in your wallet. And finally, the case I decided to go with is also from Apivia, which is the same brand as the power supply. This is their brand new Prism WH, which has disgusting, I mean filthy value. Not only do you get a good-looking dual-chamber micro ATX case, but it comes pre-equipped with 5 RGB fans, which is nuts for the price of $80. Let's say each fan is worth $5 at the very minimum. That's $25 in just fans, which means the case itself costs around 55 bucks. I've used similar cases in the past, but this one is by far the cleanest because it has no bezels in the corner like the other cases. Just glass on glass, giving you unobstructed view into your system. This only fits micro ATX motherboards, so do keep that in mind. However, it does support full ATX power supplies. For connectivity, you get 3 USB ports up top with audio jacks and the usual power and reset switch. And for storage, you can only slot 2 drives at the same time. Either 1 hard drive and 1 SSD, or 2 SSDs in the removable drive cage in the back. Now, while the cutouts in the cases don't have any rubber grommets, they are located in the best places to help with cable management. The fan configuration, however, is whack. I've mentioned this many times in the past budget builds, but these Chinese companies don't seem to grasp the concept of airflow. They make great cases, don't get me wrong, but they always ship them in the wrong fan configuration. They have 2 intake on top and 2 exhaust on the side. Like, who does that? They clearly chose looks over performance. So just make sure to flip the fans to the proper orientation when you do get this case. You should have 2 intake on the side and 2 exhaust at the top. Now you do have the option of adding 2 more intake fans in the bottom if you choose to. Other than that, the build quality is surprisingly good. Both glass panels are toolless and they snap off fairly easily, but the rear panel has 2 thumb screws that you would need to remove. Oh, and one more little nitpick I noticed while building in the case. For some reason, the rear fan was installed with the cable towards the bottom. So I unscrewed the fan and rotated it until the cable was near the top, allowing for a much cleaner route through the top cutout. Now I do want to talk a little bit about the optional PC modding and the aesthetic upgrades. I don't include these in the parts list anymore because most of you guys don't like it when I include stuff that don't improve or affect performance. Stuff like painting the PC parts or optional cable upgrades. So with that said, moving forward, all budget builds, including this one, will have these labeled as optional upgrades because they are not required to build this PC and achieve the same performance. So if you guys don't care about the aesthetic of the PC, then you can skip on over to the gaming benchmark segment, which I'll leave a timestamp down below. But for everyone else who really likes the look of it and you want to copy this exact same build, here's what I did. So for the cables, I went with the AB-N01 extensions because they are not only the best looking cables on Amazon, but they are also the cheapest and offer both white cable combs and white connectors to help stay consistent with the all-white theme. I also went with the PCI Gen 5 cable extension for the graphics card because I personally think the stock cable is the most atrocious thing that Nvidia has created. This cable is compatible with only 30 series cards, but I'll leave a link to another cable that works with 40 series cards if you guys do make that upgrade. In addition to the cables, I also painted the CPU cooler shroud and the graphics card just like in the previous budget builds. The cooler is the easiest part, and I think anyone can do it. You just need to remove the shroud from the heatsink and spray paint it, but make sure you guys are using the correct paint. The one I'm using is the Rust-Oleum Paint and Primer in semi-gloss. However, if you don't like the glossy look, you can go matte instead. I also added 2 extra coats of the semi-gloss and clear just for that added protection and extra smooth surface. It's not required, but this really does make the final product look and feel more premium. In addition to the CPU cooler, the GPU also got a nice facelift. I ended up painting the backplate and the shroud to help blend it with the rest of the build. Now, in order to take apart the graphics card, you will need a specific set of precision bits to remove the screws. The one I'm using in this video has all the bits you need to fully build your PC and take apart any GPU. It's also fairly cheap, only $25 on Amazon. If you guys want to pick one up, I'll leave a link to it down below. Anyways, taking apart your GPU is extremely easy. There are tons of guides on YouTube that will help you do it step by step. The 3070 Founders Edition is no exception. I'll leave a link to a video that helped me take apart my card if anyone wants to do the same thing for theirs. So once I separated the heatsink from the shroud, I decided to remove the PCB as well so that I can reapply the thermal paste. I mean, might as well since I took apart the whole card, especially since this is a used GPU and it probably hasn't been done since its release. And I wasn't wrong. Just look at all that dust around the thermal pads. Absolutely disgusting. Normally this is where I would replace the pads altogether, but I didn't want to spend any more money on this budget build. So I just used a paper towel to clean off the dust around the pads, and I also wiped off the thermal paste using 99% isopropyl. Afterwards, I applied fresh thermal paste and I spread it evenly using a spatula. There was a ton of dust inside the shroud as well, so I made sure to wipe it clean with a dry paper towel before hitting it again with a microfiber cloth. You guys want to make sure there is no dust or debris on your parts before you paint them. I wiped the back plate and the PCI bracket as well before taking them outside and hanging them on a portable hanger that I bought from Amazon. This makes it so much easier to paint because I can do it all in one sitting instead of painting one side at a time, which normally takes 2 days because I have to wait until the paint dries before flipping it over and doing the same thing. But if you do it hanging outside, you can paint both sides equally. Anyways, I did 3 coats of paint with 10 minutes in between. After the final coat, I waited 30 minutes before hitting it with one final clear coat. After letting it dry for the whole day, I took the parts back inside and reassembled everything. And well, the results speak for themselves. I was able to give this budget PC a unique and premium look by painting some of the parts, and while it came out looking amazing, how does it actually perform? Well, let's find out.
thank me.
Left up range! Oh.
Okay, so performance is just as expected, but I do want to talk about a few things because I know people are already rushing into the comment section.
Oh my god, the temps, they're so high.
Relax, okay? Everything is gonna be fine, I promise you. We're using a stock cooler. What did you guys expect? In all seriousness though, I broke the freaking fan blade trying to remove the shroud from the cooler. And I replaced it with a Zen 3 cooler because that was what I had on hand. And conveniently, all the Ryzen 5 7600s were out of stock online. So I had no choice but to use what I had to complete the build. That's why games like Apex Legends and Warzone hit peak temps of 95 degrees Celsius because I was using an older cooler. Although the CPU is designed to withstand temps like these and the system didn't experience any stuttering or crashing, these temps are not that normal under the appropriate stock cooler that's designed for this CPU. In fact, with the actual stock cooler, these temps would be an average of 5 degrees cooler across all the games, thanks to gameplay footage from my boy PC Centric. Again, it's nothing to freak out about, but if you do have high temp phobia and you're scared of seeing 8s and 9s next to your CPU, then I would advise picking up an aftermarket cooler. Okay, I talked about 4 of them earlier in the video, links below if you guys want to check it out. But I do want to emphasize, you don't need an aftermarket cooler to build this PC. The case has pretty decent airflow with the 5 included fans. I mean, they aren't the strongest fans I've used, that's for sure, but for the price, they do a pretty good job moving air. I don't have any complaints. Gaming performance is really where this PC shines. I mean, almost every game was hitting over 165 FPS in high settings, which is very impressive for an $800 build. And if you guys want to bring that number up to 240 FPS, you can just lower the settings. I wanted to showcase what this PC can achieve when maxing out the quality in every game. If you guys want help on building this PC or any PC in general, make sure to follow along on my PC build guide, which I'll link in the corner as well as down below, along with all the parts and recommendations I've mentioned in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'll see you very soon in the next one.